All right, we are going to do a review for Unit 1 test. All right, first 5 questions here. We have vocabulary. Okay, now if you remember that filled out vocab notes sheet I gave you on like day 2, looks like this on the right here. And we have all 5 of these words, right? So like all of this is exactly what we went over. So this is the vocab. So a line, you can write that down. For array, you can write that down. For a line segment, you can write that down. For a point, you can write that down. And then for plane, you can write that down. Okay, so what is a line? A line is made up of points with no thickness or width, and it goes both directions. Forever. That's why they have 2 arrowheads, right? A ray is a line that extends indefinitely in one direction. It has 1 arrowhead. Okay. A line segment is a measurable part of a line consisting of 2 endpoints and all the points in between. So the ends are no arrowheads, just 2 dots, right? A point is a location with no size or shape. It's just looks like a dot with a capital letter. Then a plane, we said, is a flat surface made up of points. It extends infinitely in all directions. It is flat, very important. Okay? So that's your vocab. So make sure you write that stuff down. Okay? All right. Questions 6 and 7. So name 2 points collinear to point X. Now, by the way, it's supposed to be collinear, not Colin ear. So what is on collinear? Right, is on the same line. So what's on the same line? 2 points on the same line as X. So here's X. What else is on this line with X? Well, it's going to be W and V. Cool. Now, using that same picture, name a point that is non-coplanar. Okay. Coplanar means the same plane. Obviously, non is not on the same plane. So here's D, right? D is this whole flat surface. What's the only point that's not on that flat surface? Well, it's got to be up here, point T. Okay. Makes sense because it's off the grid. All right. Point A is located at -2,6, and point B is located at 9, -11. What is the approximate distance? Okay, now on your notes, you should have the distance formula. Okay, so we have square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, now when you're doing that, this first point is x1, y1. The second point is x2, y2. So when I write this, I'm going to have square root, and then I'm going to write it over here, square root x2 minus x1, so x2 is 9. Always put the minus. Now x1 is negative 2, so I still have to put negative 2. And yes, minus negative is fine. Parentheses squared plus parentheses y2 is negative 11 minus y1 is 6. Parentheses squared. Now, if you can write that out, then you just got to type it out in your calculator. So on new number 1, don't save, and then number 1. Let's go ahead and type this in. So control x squared is my square root. Parentheses is right here. 9 minus sign, negative sign 2. Parentheses squared. Don't go to the right. Just go ahead and start plus parentheses negative 11 minus sign 6 parentheses squared. Everything should be under the square root sign. Hit enter, and boom, you get your answer, 20.2485. If we round to the 10th place, it'll just be 20.2. Cool. Careful with the negatives and the minuses, okay? Number 9, I got 3 points, and it's asking me to find the midpoint of, now, what 2 letters? A and B. All I care about is A and B, okay? So I kind of don't care about C because I'm just finding the midpoint of A and B. Now, in your notes, you had midpoint. Okay? The midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay. So all I got to do is plug in my x1 and my x2. So when I type this in, it's going to be negative 4 plus 0 divided by 2. Those are my x's, comma, and my y's, negative 2 plus 4. Notice how this one, you're adding them together and then dividing by 2. Now, you're not going to type everything in one step on this one, okay? You're going to have to do just the first fraction by itself, then do the second fraction by itself. To get the fraction bar, you got to press Control Divide. Don't forget. Now, let's just type it in the way we see it. Negative 4 plus 0. Go down 2. Hit enter. I got negative 2. So my first answer is negative 2, comma. Let's do the other fraction. Control Divide. Negative 2 plus 4. Go down. Put the 2. That matches. I hit enter and I get 1. So my y value is going to be 1. Put it in parentheses. Okay, that's what I got when I used my calculator. So I got B. Okay, can you find midpoint using the midpoint formula? You must. Okay. All right, number 10. Oops. Point P is located here. Point Q is located here. What are the coordinates of the midpoint? Okay, so since it's midpoint again, since it's midpoint, once again, we're going to use the midpoint formula. So x1 plus x2, so I'm going to do negative 9 plus 3 divided by 2. And for my y's, I'm going to do 5 plus negative 9 divided by 2. Now, if you start typing it wrong and you hit Control Divide, see how that's giving you the wrong looking fraction? Always start with Control Divide, where you don't get the wrong answer on accident. At -3, -2. Cool. All right. Now, given this graph PQ, we want to find PQ. Now, when it says find a segment, that means distance formula. Okay, distance formula. If you don't remember, distance is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay. So when I'm typing or writing it out, x2, 7 minus x1, 1. And then the y's, 2 minus 6. So we can take that and we can type it in. Control divide. Let's see, 7 minus 1 squared plus 2 minus 6 squared. Type that in correctly, you should get 7.2111, which rounds to about 7.2 if you round to the 10th place. Letter D. Cool. Number 12. All right. We have RS is equal to this, ST is equal to this, and then RT. Okay. Always label so you can see it. So between R and S, I can put 45 minus 3x. Cool. And then ST is 8x minus 25. So between S and T, 8x minus 25. And then it says RT is 45. R all the way to T, 45. Cool. Now, if you remember, when you know the part and the whole, you're going to do part plus part equals whole. Okay. All right, that's the segment addition postulate. So let's do it. So 45 minus 3x plus the other part on the right, 8x minus 25, equals the whole thing RT, 45. Okay. Can you solve this? Can you combine like terms? -3 plus 8, those x's combine to make 5x. And then those numbers, 45 and minus 25. What is 45 minus 25? 20. Okay, not 70. Okay, don't add them, or don't add two positive numbers. You have 45 plus a negative 25 should give you 20. Bring down equals 45, and now it's a two-step equation. Could you solve this? You want to get rid of this loner 20 first. It's on the side of x by itself. That's the loner. The opposite of plus 20, minus 20 on both sides. 20's cancel, and I have 5x equals 45 minus 20 is 25. And then how do I get rid of that 5 in front of x that's being multiplied? Well, coefficients we get rid of by dividing. So divide by 5 on both sides. And then x is 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So should I answer A? Should I? When it says to find the length of RS, okay? So 5 is not the answer. X is not what RS is, okay? So do you see how between R and S is this right here, 45 minus 3x. If I know x equals 5, then I'm going to replace that x with a 5. So 45 minus 3x, but instead of x, I'm going to put parentheses 5. So minus 3 times 5, so that's going to really be 45 minus 15. And then 45 minus 15 is 30. So the answer is B. Please do not get confused about that. Do your best, obviously. Okay. All right. 13. Similar, but now we're talking about angles. Whoa, chill. Chill. Okay. 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 Sorry, having technical difficulties. So it says TUV, T to U to V. That's the whole thing. 8x minus 20. Cool. Then it says TUW. TUW is the top one. 3x minus 4. WUV, oh, that's the bottom one. 3x minus 8. Now looking at this, we have a situation where we have a part on top plus a part on the bottom equals the whole big angle, right? So once again, part plus part equals whole. So let's go ahead and write that out. 3x minus 4 plus 3x minus 8 equals the whole thing, 8x minus 20. Could you solve this? On the left side, we have lots of stuff. On the left side of the equal. So let's combine my terms. 3x plus 3x, 6x. Negative 4 plus negative 8, or negative 4 minus 8 is negative 12. Bring down equals 8x minus 20. X is on both sides. Let's get rid of the smaller x. So minus 6x, minus 6x. Bring down the negative 12. That equals 8 minus 6 is 2x. Bring down minus 20. Now we have a two-step equation. X is on the right, so the loner on the right is minus 20. The opposite is plus 20. So now negative 12 plus 20 is 8 equals 2x. And to get rid of that 2, we divide by 2 on both sides, and we get x equals 4. Now, is that it? Are we done with x equals 4? Find the value of x. Yes, we are. Very good. All right, good job. Now, all right, now, here we go, 14. What type of angle pair are these? Now, if they are like this, where they are right next to each other, making a straight, see how this angle and then this angle together make a nice straight line. If together they make a line, then that's called a linear pair. We definitely did talk about how two angles that make a straight line of 180 are also called supplementary. Okay, so linear pair makes a straight line. They're also called supplementary. That's it. Circle that. And then can you use that to find x? Now remember, this is part plus part equals whole. Because these are not equal to each other, but they do add up to 180. Okay. Okay. So the left part, or sorry, the top part, if you want to call that 3x plus 5 plus the bottom part of the right part is 2x plus 15. Together makes a straight line of 180. Okay. Combine your x's, combine your regular numbers. Now you have a two-step equation. Get rid of your loner. Values cancel out. 5x equals 160. And then to get rid of that 5 in front of x, you divide by 5. And x is going to be 32. Cool. All right. And that's it because it said find the value of x. So you didn't have to plug it back in. Cool. What about this one? If they are across from each other like that, whether they're literally vertical or whether they're left and right horizontal, it doesn't matter which direction they are. As long as they are across from each other, they are called vertical angles. And we know vertical angles are congruent from our notes. Okay, they're congruent. So that means they're the exact same. So we're going to set them equal. 10x plus 1 equals 12x minus 5. Can you solve that? When x is on both sides, we get rid of the smaller x. 10x, so we subtract 10x. 1 equals 12 minus 10 is 2x. Bring down minus 5. Get rid of that loner minus 5 on the right side with x by adding 5. We get 6 equals 2x. And then to get rid of that coefficient, we always divide. We get 3. Cool. So again, that's called a vertical angle. All right, now we got to really remember what a counterexample is from the last couple of days. A counterexample is an example that proves something false, okay? Now, this says complementary angles are always congruent. So remember, complementary angles are two angles that add to how many degrees? 90 degrees. Okay. So this is saying if two angles add up to 90, they have to be always congruent. Well, on A, angle 1 and 2, they are congruent, and they make 90. True on letter A, so that's not a counterexample. Okay. Remember, a counterexample makes it false. Okay, B, these aren't even complementary, they're vertical. C, angle 1 and angle 2, they're congruent, but guess what? They make a straight line of 180. That's not 90, so letter D. 70 degrees and 20 degrees. Hey, those are complementary. But are they congruent? No, these are not congruent. And they add up to 90. I mean, I know you hopefully know this mentally, but just making sure. Well, that means they're complementary, but they're not congruent. So this is a perfect counterexample to that claim. Do you see how counterexample proves it is false? Okay. All right. Let's do some conditional statements and we'll be done here. Use the statement below to complete the following questions. My hypothesis, it is Valentine's Day. My conclusion, it is February 14th. So let's use the following answer choices. Okay. Now, these are my answer choices using P and Q. Okay, let me document this full notes. All right, here we go. What is the conditional? So conditional is just the regular P arrow Q. It's the regular P arrow Q. Okay. It's the original, right? So if I'm going to do P arrow Q, just a regular original, then I'm going to say we get out. It's crazy. Okay, here we go. So the conditional is going to take P and Q, and it's going to be just is Valentine's. If it is Valentine's Day, then it is February 14th. So which one says that? If it is Valentine's Day, then it's February 14th. It's going to be letter A. So don't circle A. We're writing it down right here. Okay. Cool. Now, converse. Okay. When I think of converse, I think of switch the order. Right? Like I'm tying some Converse shoes. So instead of P arrow Q, it's going to be Q arrow P. Okay, that's the switch one. So I'm going to take Valentine's Day and February 14th and just switch them. So which answer choice just switches Valentine's Day and February 14th? So the beginning is now February 14th. That's the new hypothesis. And the new conclusion is Valentine's Day, but there's no knots. Nothing's opposite. Well, I think the best answer is going to be C. If it is February 14th, then it is Valentine's Day. That just switched the order. All right? So I'm going to write C right here. Okay, again, I'm not circling anything up here because I'm using the following answer choices for all four of these. Right? Okay. Now, inverse is when you have the original statement and all you do is make them opposites. And there's no switch. There's no flipping the order, okay? So let's go to the original order. The original order is Valentine's Day first, February 14th is the conclusion. So I'm going to keep that order, but I'm just going to make it opposite. So instead of it is Valentine's Day, it's going to be it is not Valentine's Day. We call that squiggle P. And that implies squiggle Q. It is not February 14th. This is a new conclusion. So my new inverse statement is if it is not Valentine's Day, then it is not February 14th. My best answer for inverse is going to be letter D. Okay, so that is opposite. No switch. Cool. Now remember, contrapositive is the weird one. So for contrapositive is both switch and opposite. So the way we write that is not Q implies not P. Squiggle Q, arrow, squiggle P. So what was my original Q? Well, my original conclusion was February 14th. Now it's going to come to the front and become not 14th, right? Opposite. So if it is not February 14th, then it is not Valentine's Day. So my best answer, of course, process of elimination, but you got to know this, is letter B. That's my contrapositive. Okay, it is switch and opposite. Cool. So that is it. That is your review. You have to finish this review. You have to study this review, and then you can bring it tomorrow for the test.